Hello my Voicey Veterans. Is the answer to winning the war on entitled people found in Area 51? As Voicey Veterans, we must consider all available options against EPs. In fact, maybe entitled parents are actually aliens, and have been this whole time. It would explain a lot. This story was called EM Tries to Get Full Refund and Free Meal, Fails Spectacularly. Let's get some important background info first. I'm a manager at a certain fast food chain. The day this happened, I was wearing a crew shirt over my manager uniform, as I was doing some deep cleaning in the store. This is important, so don't forget. Originally, I was not scheduled to work that day, but offered to come in to help get ready for a visit from upper management. Ready? Let's start. EM walks into the store, visibly angered. Hello, what can I do for you today?
You idiots gave me 5 napkins instead of 4. You guys are lazy and sloppy.
I am sorry that you received 5 napkins instead of 4. The crew has been crazy busy tonight and have been getting out orders as quickly and accurately as they can. These things happen from time to time, and I'm sorry that you're displeased with our service. At this point I was ticked. Insulting the crew and being completely unreasonable over a single napkin wasn't very mature. However, I stayed calm and didn't let her know I was frustrated.
I demand a full refund and a free meal right now.
Ma'am, I'm afraid I can't do that, as nothing of value has been lost. If you fill out the feedback section on your receipt, you can receive a discount on your next purchase.
I will not have it. You little cramps give free stuff to other customers.
I was boiling inside. At this point, she was drawing attention and being a nuisance to all the other customers. But as before, I showed no aggression. Ma'am, I really am sorry, but in those cases, a customer was either overcharged or a mistake on their food order had been made.
I'm done. I don't give a frick what you have to say. Get me a manager now.
That was it. The best power move I'd ever make. Right in front of her, I took off the crew shirt to reveal my manager shirt. Hi, I'm the manager. And like I said, I will not give you a refund or a free meal. Especially after you berated my coworkers and me. I ask that if you're not going to purchase anything, that you leave the store. Thank you, and have a nice day. The EM's face became pale, and had a look of horror. Needless to say, she quickly left the store, never been back since. Usually if someone gets your order wrong, you get a replacement or a refund, not both. And I would hardly call getting an extra napkin getting an order wrong. Like the hero of the story said, nothing of value was lost. This story was called, No Miss, Your Child Tripped. I Don't Need to Give Him Candy. Linda equals entitled mother. Jimmy equals Linda's spawn. Ice equals yours truly. The Smiths, made up last name for my grandmother's neighbors. I'm friends with one of their sons. The background. This happened yesterday. I'm visiting my grandmother who lives in a private area. Now, I've never known exactly what to call it, but my family has always called it the colony when I go for walks. Take a walk around the colony. So that is what I'll refer to it as in this story. The colony has its own playground that clearly states only residents and their guests are allowed. Now, outside the colony, there is a marina and a bridge. Down the street a little, there is a convenience store that was open on the 4th of July. I am in the US, so I was on a walk around the colony. I decided to go buy myself some candy at the convenience store. I remembered I was supposed to buy something for my cousin there, as she had given me money to buy her something. I bought her things and mine and sat down at the bridge, technically in the marina, and ate some of my candy. I was walking back and walked by the playground. I decided to sit on one of the 2 benches to drink some soda and draw. This lady, Linda, who I've never seen in the colony before, I assumed she was a guest because it was 4th of July, was walking with her kid, Jimmy. He looked around 7 or 8 years old. They stopped by the playground and Jimmy was playing for a bit. He spotted my candy a little bit later and started to run over to me to ask me if he could have some. He tripped on the way over and bumped his head on the other bench. Not hard enough to make it bleed, but hard enough to hurt like a bee. He started crying and I felt kind of bad, so I offered him a gummy shark from an already opened bag. Linda, who was kneeling next to him, saying things like, "My poor baby," said,
"Can't you give him something that hasn't been opened?"
Sorry miss, but I bought the unopened bags for my cousin."
"I don't care, just give my son something to cheer him up."
"Miss, he can either have that or nothing. I'm not opening something I bought for my cousin with her money to give to your kid."
"He came over here to ask you if he could have some, so it's your fault for bringing that over here. You hurt my child. He deserves to have a whole bag now."
Jimmy through his tears.
Mommy, my knee.
She looked at his knee, which had a tiny scrape and dirt on it.
Oh my poor baby. Let's get you away from this rude teenager girl and fix you up at home.
Then she walks away with Jimmy. I wish it was done here, but no. I realized that I left my spare pencil by the bridge and went to go check. I waited a little before walking back as I didn't want to walk near Linda. I picked up my pencil and walked back, only to see Linda and Jimmy walking back to the colony. I ran back to the playground again. Didn't want to walk near Linda. I sat back down to catch my breath. It was a mistake to run because I've exercise-induced asthma, but I've dealt with it before I had an inhaler. My mum didn't believe that I had asthma until my lacrosse coach yelled at her to get me an inhaler. Love that guy. I left my inhaler at my grandmother's house. Linda and Jimmy got back to the playground. Me, out of breath and sheepish. Miss, do you know this playground is for residents and their guests only, right?
I'm friends with the Smiths, so it doesn't matter.
Now I know for a fact that none of the Smiths are here right now. Ma'am, they're not here right now. You can't be here because you're technically not a guest.
But I'm friends with somebody who lives here. I can be here whenever I want. How do you even know they're not here? You're just a bratty teenager.
I know they're not here because my grandmother lives next door to them, and I'm staying at her house. You're staying at your own house outside the colony, so you're not a guest unless they invite you over. They're not here, so they can't invite you. Therefore, you're not allowed here.
Where's the sign saying that I can't? I'm an adult, so I see through your lies.
I pointed to a sign that says, "This playground is not open to the public. It is a private area for residents of," Main Street name of the colony, "associates and their guests." Now, the thing I say next I was kind of pulling out my butt, as I didn't know if I could actually do this. But I wanted to go back to my grandmother's house. As a person who reads these stories a lot, I didn't think she would just let me leave. "So miss, if you don't leave, I believe I can call the police as you are trespassing on private property." She grumbled some things I couldn't understand under her breath as she stomps off to get her kid off the slide. As she makes it back over to me, pulling Jimmy along, she says loudly and clearly annoyed,
"Come on, Jimmy, this brat has decided to ruin your fun."
I hear her mumbling some stupid BS like how I'm a stupid bratty teenage girl ruining her little angel's fun, and how she thinks teenagers shouldn't be allowed to call the police because they're more likely to be liars, blah blah blah. I waited until I couldn't see her anymore and then walked home and enjoyed the rest of my candy. The EntitledParents excuse was like, "Oh, you're a teenager, I'm not gonna listen to you." But we all know that even if it was an adult, it's not like they would have been like, "Oh, is that what the rules are? Oh wow, there is a sign there. Okay, I'll be on my merry way." Yeah, there's not a chance. This story was called "Kid Sees Snapchat on My Phone and Tells EM He Wants to Try It." Some backstory. I'm visiting in the Philippines from the US, and some things are different than in the US, obviously. For example, we use jeepneys, which are basically buses, but there are way more of them circling the city. Also, almost all Filipinos speak their native language and English. I'll be translating all of this, and what makes this funny is that Filipinos only use Messenger. I think that's enough backstory for you to understand some things later. Me and my cousin were on our way to our local SM supermall, which was 15 to 20 minutes away. After walking for a bit, we saw a jeepney and we signaled for it to stop so we could get on. We got on the jeepney and paid the driver. A couple minutes later, I got bored and took out my phone to check out my friend's stories on Snapchat. A minute later, I saw EM and her kid walk in. She didn't look like an EM, she just looked like a regular mum. The people made room for her and her kids to sit across from me. Her kid saw me using Snapchat and he whispered something into EM's ear. The EM glared at my phone and nodded towards whiny brat. Remember that I'll be translating their dialogue into English.
"Why aren't you using Messenger?"
I'm using Snapchat?
"Why?"
I didn't want to talk to her, so I didn't reply.
"Hello?"
I didn't reply again.
Mom, I wanna try.
"My kid wants to try that Snapchat. Give him your phone."
I got annoyed, so I asked my cousin if we could get off here and get on another jeepney. He nodded yes, so we told the driver that this was our stop. We got off and waited for another jeepney. I didn't notice that EM followed us out, and she ran up to me and tried to yank my phone out of my hand, but I had a wrist strap, and her pull hurt my wrist bad. EM saw this as an advantage, and ripped my phone out of my hand. I turned off my phone before she took it.
"Unlock your phone right now."
Why?
"My kid wants your phone to try out Snapchat."
No, that's my phone and not yours. My cousin saw a security guard at a store, so he called him and they ran to us. I saw them running to us behind her, so I stalled her until they got here. What's going on here?
He stole my phone.
Then how are you holding it?
I took it back.
Actually, she stole my phone. Shows a lock screen which has me in it to prove it.
See, he hacked my phone.
I put my thumb on the home button and it unlocks. Ma'am, is Whiny Brat your son?
Yeah, so?
You and your son need to come with me. Then I never saw her and her son again. I'm gonna miss them. This fan-submitted story was called Entitled Mum Demands Free Hangers and My Job. Hi Voicey, I've been watching your channel for a little while now, and I think I have a pretty good story to submit. I'm originally from Vegas, but I've moved back and forth from there to where I live now, the second largest city in the current state I live, which is still a relatively smallish town. This story took place in the town I currently reside in. Since this place has a huge Mormon population, I've seen it all. Pregnant teens with their mothers in tow stating how proud they are, weird people, meth heads, this is apparently the meth capital of the world. You name it, I've probably seen it. This story takes place in a workplace of mine in 2008. I worked for a chain of off-price department stores. In fact, according to Wikipedia, it is the largest one in the US. It was prom season, so mothers were out shopping for or with their daughters for prom dresses for a great deal. I rarely bought clothes there, even with my discount, as most of them were extremely ugly. Anyways, I'm the head cashier at the store at the time, and this woman comes into my lane with a ton of dresses. I said my pleasantries and started ringing up her purchases. This is where the woman starts to get irritated with me. After I bag her purchases and tell her the total, she starts to voice her irritation with me. Now, I'm paraphrasing a bit since this was a long time ago.
Excuse me, why are you not bagging the hangers? I need those.
I'm sorry ma'am, but we need those for our back to school season, and we are no longer allowed to give away free hangers.
What does that even mean? I just spent $150 on hangers. I deserve them.
I'm sorry again ma'am, but corporate will not let me give away hangers anymore. There is nothing I can do.
I want to speak to your manager now. I'm going to get you fired for not giving me those hangers after I spent so much money here.
Yes, she really did tell this. Now my manager was the assistant manager, but she didn't want to be disturbed unless absolutely necessary because she was too busy doing the manager's job as well as her own. I sighed and reluctantly called my manager up. While the EM got even more annoyed at my sigh, my manager asked if it was important, to which I replied it was a customer who was demanding to speak with her. Now I've had complaints from customers, leading me to almost being fired for disability, as I kept talking too much. I have ADHD as well as Asperger's, and was unmedicated as I couldn't afford to be medicated. $6.50 an hour doesn't really help you buy more than food most days. However, this was a different complaint altogether. My boss makes her way up to the register. By now I have a huge line backed up, and the paraphrased conversation follows. Can I help you with something?
Yes, you can fire this employee. She has been extremely rude to me. I spent over $150 in clothing here, and she will not let me keep the hangers.
I'm sorry ma'am, I'm sure my employee has told you that this is a policy from corporate, and we are no longer allowed to give away free hangers.
If you don't give me the hangers for free now and fire this employee, then I want the number for corporate so I can get you both fired.
By now my boss has had enough and she turns to me, whispering, "Just give her the darn hangers." My boss apologizes profusely, and I bag the hangers as well. The EM just has the smuggest grin on her face as she waits for my boss to fire me. When she realizes that it's not going to happen, she then demands my name, my boss's name, the store number, and the number for the corporate office. We give them to her, hand her the purchases that she paid for, and stormed off. My boss reassured me they weren't going to fire me for this as I followed protocol. We never heard from her again and I moved back to Vegas a few months later, while asking for a transfer that never went through. But that's a story for another time. I still can't believe that this woman couldn't be bothered to spend a few dollars on hangers. It's the most ridiculous experience I've ever had working in customer service, and I'd rather lick my dog's face after she rolled in the mud than go back there ever again. Unfortunately, that's how most people feel working in customer service, because you have to deal with people like this. It's unfortunate that she got the hangers, because, you know, as soon as she got them, she basically felt like, well, I've won, I'm obviously right, I should get everything I want, including you fired. You give them an inch and they take a mile. But that's just entitled parents for you. If you'd like your story to be narrated by me, don't forget to visit the subreddit r/VoiceyHere, link below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Alright, I'll see you in the next one.